Today, we delve into a story that transcends the boundaries of species, a testament to the enduring power of maternal instinct and the miraculous bonds that can arise in the face of profound loss. Prepare to witness the extraordinary tale of Camilla, a dog who experienced heartbreak, and Atlas, a leopard cub whose very existence hung precariously in the balance. Their unlikely encounter in the heart of South Africa would not only defy expectations, but would etch a profound chapter into the annals of wildlife conservation. Before we embark on this incredible journey, we invite you to connect with our global community of nature enthusiasts. Please share in the comments below, from which city and country are you tuning in? Your interaction helps us weave together a worldwide network of those who appreciate the untold stories of our planet. By liking this video and subscribing to our channel, Wild Echo Untold, you play a vital role in ensuring these remarkable narratives are shared and remembered. Our story unfolds in the early morning light of South Africa's renowned Kruger National Park, a sanctuary teeming with life, yet often touched by the harsh realities of the wild. In a quiet corner of the park's medical facility, a black mixed-breed dog named Camilla lay huddled in her kennel. A small, distinct white patch marked her chest, a poignant detail in the narrative that was about to unfold. Just 3 days prior, Camilla had endured a difficult labor, bringing 5 premature puppies into the world. Tragically, despite the best efforts, none of her offspring survived the complications of birth. Nature, in its intricate design, had already set in motion the physiological processes of motherhood within Camilla. Her mammary glands, responding to the hormonal cascade initiated by prolactin, had begun to produce milk. This complex process, vital for the nourishment of newborns across most mammalian species, continued unabated, a poignant reminder of the life that was no longer there to sustain. Camilla's body, driven by the primal commands of nature, persisted in its nurturing role even in the face of devastating loss. Her dark brown eyes, once likely filled with the anticipation of motherhood, now gazed vacantly into the distance, bearing the unmistakable signs of postpartum depression. This condition, often associated with human mothers, is increasingly recognized by zoologists as a genuine phenomenon in many mammal species, particularly those known for forming strong bonds with their young, such as dogs. Research indicates that the grief experienced by dogs over the loss of their puppies can manifest in various ways, including withdrawal behaviors, a refusal to eat, and a diminished response to their surroundings, precisely the state in which we find Camilla. Her past held a simple life as a hunting dog for a local farming family. When pregnancy came, instead of care, she faced abandonment, a stark reality for many domestic animals in rural Africa, often seen as tools rather than family. Patrol officers found her exhausted, with dangerously low blood sugar and signs of dehydration, perilous symptoms for a pregnant animal.
In the same quiet halls of the clinic where Camilla was lost in her grief, a new and urgent drama was unfolding. A call from the East Patrol team reported a devastating discovery: an abandoned leopard cub, a tiny Panthera pardus just 2 weeks old. At the site, the grim evidence of bullet casings and traces of blood told a heartbreaking story. His mother had been killed by illegal poachers. While wildlife hunting is strictly prohibited in South Africa, the lucrative black market for leopard pelts and body parts means that poaching continues to be a brutal reality. The cub, named Atlas, was rushed to the medical center fighting for his life. Initial examinations painted a bleak picture. Atlas was suffering from severe hypothermia. His body temperature was dangerously low at 97 degrees Fahrenheit, 36.1 degrees Celsius. far below the normal range for a leopard cub. He was also severely dehydrated, a fact confirmed by reduced skin elasticity, and had an infected wound on his hind paw. Howard Mitchell, the center's 50-year-old medical director, a man with 2 decades of experience in wildlife research, and his assistant, Hannah, moved swiftly. They administered fluids, injected broad-spectrum antibiotics, and placed Atlas in a temperature-controlled enclosure, desperately trying to stabilize his tiny, fragile body. The team supplemented Atlas's care with a specialized formula for large cats, but as Howard knew all too well, powdered milk, no matter how carefully prepared, could not replicate the vital antibodies and immunological factors found in natural mother's milk. The prognosis was grim. "I'm not sure he'll survive the night," his assistant Hannah sighed, her voice heavy with doubt. She spoke not just of his physical wounds, but of his emotional and psychological trauma. Leopard cubs, like most mammals, require a deep maternal bond to properly develop. The absence of this connection could lead to chronic stress, compromising his immune system and his will to live. As dawn broke and Atlas clung to life, a bold and radical idea began to take shape in Howard's mind. He had been observing Camilla's profound grief and her body's continuous, futile production of milk. He understood the biological mechanisms at play. Prolactin, the hormone driving milk production, and oxytocin, the love hormone, were actively at work in her body, suppressing aggression and promoting nurturing behavior. On the other side of the wall, Atlas was not just a medical case. He was a tiny creature triggering a primal biological response in any mammal. He was the very definition of the baby schema, a concept proven by researchers like Konrad Lorenz, where infantile features, large heads, big eyes, and small limbs elicit protective instincts across many species. Howard's idea was simple, yet fraught with risk. What if he introduced Atlas to Camilla? Hannah was skeptical. "Howard, are you seriously thinking of crossing a dog with a leopard? Their instincts and senses are completely different." He acknowledged the danger, knowing that a leopard would be natural prey for some wild canines. "But Camilla is domesticated," Howard countered, "and she's in a special postpartum state where nurturing hormones are dominating her system. We'll monitor them carefully, ready to intervene at a moment's notice." After careful consideration, Hannah agreed. The fate of 2 broken souls now rested on a bold hypothesis: that maternal instinct, in its most fundamental form, could transcend the boundaries of species.
The stage was set for a meeting of 2 different worlds. In a specially prepared room, kept at a warm 80 degrees Fahrenheit with low light to reduce stress, Howard and his team introduced the 2 creatures. Howard carefully placed Atlas, the tiny leopard cub, on a soft mat about 2 meters from where Camilla stood. The cub was so weak that he remained motionless, his small body barely visible in the subdued light. Hannah then led Camilla into the room. The mixed-breed dog walked slowly, her head bowed, her dark eyes still reflecting the emptiness of her recent loss. For what seemed like an eternity, nothing happened. Camilla appeared oblivious to the new presence. She simply lay down, resting her head on her paws, lost in her own sorrow. Atlas remained curled in a ball on the pad, his small body rising and falling with each shallow breath. 10 minutes passed in silence, a historical moment of profound quiet. Then it happened. A small, weak cry escaped Atlas's lips, a plaintive sound of a child searching for a mother. Camilla's ears twitched. It was the first time she had reacted to anything since her own puppies were gone. Atlas cried again, a little softer this time. Now Camilla lifted her head, her brown eyes locking on to the source of the sound. Slowly, with a cautious grace, she rose to her feet and began to walk towards the small, trembling creature. The world seemed to hold its breath in that moment. As Camilla drew near, she lowered her head, her nose gently sniffing the tiny leopard cub. It was a silent, delicate assessment between 2 solitary beings, one who had lost her children and another who had lost his mother. Then, with a soft, careful motion, Camilla began to lick Atlas. It was a gentle, nurturing action, a primal sign of acceptance. Atlas, responding to the touch, relaxed. His small body stopped trembling, and his eyes slowly closed.
finding the first sense of security he had known since his mother was taken from him. With careful assistance from the team, Atlas was moved closer to Camilla's belly. At first, both seemed hesitant, but then Atlas found a nipple and began to nurse. Weakly at first, then with growing strength. Camilla lay completely still, her eyes wide with a mixture of surprise and an undeniable protective instinct. Her body curled into an arc around Atlas, a gentle, powerful shield for the new life she had found. From that night on, a miraculous transformation began. Atlas not only survived, but thrived, gaining weight rapidly as his small wounds healed faster than expected. Camilla, who had once refused all food, now ate with an enthusiasm that reflected her new purpose, to be strong for her adopted son. Over the next few weeks, the bond between them grew incredibly deep. Camilla became a devoted mother, not only nursing Atlas, but teaching him essential survival skills, not those of a leopard, but those of a dog. She taught him to track by scent, to listen for distant sounds, and to hide at the first sign of danger. In a remarkable display of adaptability, Atlas absorbed these lessons, blending them seamlessly with his own innate leopard instincts. Their relationship was becoming a living testament to the power of a mother's love, a bond so strong it transcended the boundaries of species and instinct.
6 months passed, and the semi-natural enclosure within the Kruger Reserve had become a source of wonder for scientists and visitors alike. Atlas, the tiny leopard cub who had once been on the brink of death, had transformed into a vibrant young leopard. His golden coat, marked with distinctive black rosettes, now gleamed under the African sun. The wound on his hind paw had healed completely, leaving only a faint scar as a mark of his past ordeal. Camilla, the black mixed-breed dog with the white patch on her chest, now had to look up at her adopted son. Atlas had grown larger than her, his developing leopard physique becoming increasingly apparent. Yet, in Camilla's eyes, Atlas was still the child who needed her guidance and protection. Every morning, as the first rays of sunlight touched the savanna grasslands, Camilla and Atlas would begin their familiar ritual. They would walk through their enclosure together, Atlas occasionally bounding ahead, leaping onto rocks for a better view, while Camilla trotted slowly behind, her watchful eyes scanning their surroundings. Sometimes Atlas would disappear into the undergrowth, only to suddenly leap out, attempting to playfully startle Camilla, a game the young leopard never seemed to tire of. Howard and the research team spent countless hours observing this unusual pair, documenting how Camilla taught Atlas survival skills, not as a leopard would, but through the instincts of a dog. She taught him to track scents, to listen for distant sounds, and to seek cover when danger was near. Remarkably, Atlas seemed to understand and adapt these lessons, blending them with his innate leopard instincts. In return, Atlas also taught Camilla new things. The young leopard would climb trees that Camilla could not reach, often sitting there for hours observing the world from above. Camilla would wait patiently at the base of the tree, keeping a watchful eye on her adopted son until he descended. Sometimes, as dusk fell, they would sit together on a large rock, bathed in the moonlight, creating a surreal scene that the researchers never tired of witnessing. However, Howard knew that this idyllic existence could not last forever. Atlas was growing, and the time for a difficult decision was approaching. Atlas was nearing 8 months old, the age when, in the wild, a young leopard begins to separate from its mother and explore its own territory. While the bond between Atlas and Camilla remained strong, conservationists worried that if Atlas wasn't encouraged to develop his natural instincts, he might never fully adapt to the role of an adult leopard. "We need to make a decision about Atlas's future," Howard stated at a team meeting. "He needs to learn to hunt, to defend his territory, and eventually to find a mate. These are things Camilla cannot teach him." The team discussed various options, from complete separation and a wildlife rehabilitation program to a more gradual approach involving controlled interactions with other leopards in the reserve while maintaining contact with Camilla. As the discussion continued, an unexpected incident occurred, an event that would ultimately help them make the right decision.
One day, the care team brought a special meal of fresh beef for Camila and Atlas. Normally, they would divide the food into 2 separate portions, but on this occasion, a large single piece of meat was placed in their enclosure. As the scent of fresh meat filled the air, both Camila and Atlas reacted intensely. Hungry after a long morning of play, their natural instincts drew them to the food. Atlas, with his wild leopard instincts gradually awakening, suddenly let out a small growl, the first sound that truly resembled that of an adult leopard. The young leopard lunged at the meat with a speed and determination he had never shown before. Camila also approached, expecting to share the meal, as they usually did. But this time, something had shifted.
This was the pivotal moment, a test of whether a wild instinct would erase a nurtured bond. Atlas, now a young leopard with a primal drive for survival, had asserted himself. He devoured the large portion of meat, leaving only a few scraps scattered around. Camila, seemingly heartbroken, slowly moved away and curled up in a corner, her sad eyes watching the adopted son who no longer seemed to recognize her. The tension was palpable. The researchers began to wonder if this was the end of a beautiful, impossible story. But then, a miracle happened. Atlas, full and content, paused and looked at Camila. There was something in the young leopard's eyes, a flicker of consciousness, perhaps remorse. The observers began filming, sensing that something special was about to unfold. Atlas slowly approached Camila, his steps no longer aggressive but cautious, almost timid. He did something breathtaking. He delicately touched Camila's paw with his own, then lowered his head in a gentle, apologetic gesture. Camila remained still, not yet ready to forgive, her eyes conveying a disappointment only a mother could express. But Atlas did not give up. He nudged her again, seeking a sign of forgiveness. Seeing this, Howard had a thought. He instructed the team to bring another, smaller portion of meat. This time, something incredible happened. When the meat was introduced, Atlas did not move. He stood beside Camila, seemingly controlling his instincts, waiting for her reaction. Camila slowly rose, cautiously approached the meat, and began to eat. But the most moving moment was yet to come. Camila took a large piece of meat and, instead of eating it, gently carried it to Atlas, placing it before him. It was a gesture of forgiveness, a profound affirmation of a mother's unconditional love. Atlas accepted the meat, not with a hungry frenzy, but with appreciation. Then, in an act that defied all expectations, the young leopard nudged the meat back to Camila, inviting her to eat first. They shared the meal in peace, their bond reaffirmed, deeper than ever. This single event changed everything. Howard made the final decision on their future. He realized that while Atlas was indeed developing into a true leopard with wild instincts, the bond between him and Camila was too special to be severed. He announced, "We will continue to keep them in the reserve, but we will expand their area, creating a mixed environment that is natural enough for Atlas to develop his leopard skills, but safe enough for Camila to remain with him. At the same time, we will begin giving Atlas controlled exposure to other leopards so he can learn from his own species." And so, their unique journey entered a new chapter. With a larger, more spacious enclosure, Atlas honed his hunting skills, eventually catching rabbits and small rodents. But in a behavior rarely seen even in wild leopards, he always brought his prey back to share with Camila before eating. When Atlas turned 1 year old, the team introduced him to a rescued female leopard in an adjacent area. Initially, Atlas was hesitant, but his natural instincts soon awakened. He began spending more time at the fence, observing the female with growing curiosity. Camila watched these changes with quiet acceptance, understanding that her son needed to explore his own world. Still, at the end of each day, Atlas would return to Camila, curling up beside his adopted mother just like he did as a cub, seeking her comfort and love. The story of Camila and Atlas spread across the world, becoming a symbol of compassion that transcends the boundaries of species. This wasn't just a story of survival, it was proof that love has the power to heal all wounds and create miracles no one could ever imagine. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. The story of Camila and Atlas is a powerful reminder that in the world of nature and in our own,
Love can bridge the greatest of divides. If you were touched by this remarkable tale, please subscribe to our channel, Wild Echo Untold, so you don't miss another chapter in the living history of our world. We want to know what you thought of today's story. Leave a comment below and let us know which part of this amazing journey touched you the most.